Hey everybody, welcome to the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And on this episode we're going to talk about new DVD and Blu-ray releases. And like always, we have a number of them.
Yes. I have one that's a number in itself.
Really?
Yes.
Well, go for it.
The Honeymooners Lost Episodes, the complete restored series. 15
Holy
discs.
Shit.
15 discs.
That is a lot of Audrey Meadows,
That's
man.
that's a lot of the great one. Jackie Gleason and Art Carney. And you know what? It's pretty cool because it takes him from 1951 when the Honeymooners were just a sketch on the Cavalcade of Stars, and then up to the point where they became their own series for the classic 39 episodes, and then after when they were on the Jackie Gleason show.
Huh.
So you get to see the cool thing about it is, and I'm a huge Jackie Gleason fan, so the cool thing for me is that they'll do the same skit several times over the years.
Really?
You know, like
They'd never repeat a
like
Saturday Night
Ralph
Live
gets
skit.
a new bowling
Did
ball,
they?
and they do it in 1950, and then they do it in 56, and they do it in 58, and it's amazing to see how the comedy is sharpened, because the first one's maybe 8 minutes, then it's 6.5 minutes, and then it's 5 minutes of comic gold by the time they get done with it. It's a great series, you know, and it's not the kind of thing I felt like I had to start at episode 1, disc 1, and go through the final, you know, all 15 discs. I skipped around a lot.
Nice.
But,
You know,
really good stuff.
you can talk about it being a classic and everything and how it changed American television and was
You're not
just
going
a
to diss the
profound
Honeymooners,
influence
are
in
you?
everyone's life. And I still get back to thinking that I thought Audrey Meadows was hot. Like young Audrey Meadows. She was,
You get that look in your eye, that glint, that glistening.
man, she was
yeah.
there's something that's going on there. I don't know what, I mean, and it's not like, she's not like every man's cup of tea kind of hot.
She's
but
your cup of hot
she
tea,
was-
that's for sure.
Yeah. So young Audrey
No.
Meadows.
Well, I'll have to let you borrow this.
To the
but,
moon,
you know,
Alice.
Yeah, you can watch it alone. It's
Excuse
well
me.
worth seeing. I love it when they have the shows ran to like an hour, and they like the Cramdens and the Nortons win a trip around the world. So it's like musical. They do big musical numbers as they go to Paris and sail around the world and stuff. It's crazy.
Really?
It's kind of like watching that old Jack Benny series we were watching. You know, it's that comedy from 50 years ago that's still fucking
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Well, you know, my
So-
experience with the Honeymooners is that I remember it during its reruns in
Right.
the 70s
Right.
and the early 80s, and
And they usually
Saturday mornings on WGN in Chicago.
and they had
Was it
those
Saturday mornings or Saturday
39
afternoons?
episodes, which are the
Something like that.
classics. This is
Yeah.
like everything else. This is like the great DVD set of extras.
Wow.
So
I would consider that a lot of shit to look forward to.
it, you know, and the thing is, even though I've seen a lot of it, I can always like, oh, let's go watch another Honeymooners because there's so much here.
How many
15 discs.
and how many episodes on the Jackie Gleason show?
I have no idea. I think they stopped counting. Doesn't say on the paperwork here.
When did they went from what? What years?
1951 through I don't know, 57.
Wow.
It's a treasure trove of over 50 hours on 15
I wasn't
discs.
saying wow to 1957.
You're thinking of Audrey
No,
Meadows
you
again.
held up one of your notes there, and on the back I looked at the price tag.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing.
That's
MPI
what I was
Home
saying.
Video,
Wow.
the people who sent me this, when they sent me the letter telling me about it, I said, I'm interested in that. And they go, John, it's a $130 set. I was like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's $130. Okay. Can I have one? Can you do something special with it? Sure.
We'll put a graphic up there.
I gave it
But
its
it's
own.
very
I gave it its own review, its own page,
okay.
which they were fine with, and I was happy to do it because it deserves it to me. It's not just that it cost $130. So I hope they're happy with the review. I'm happy with the disc, and I'm
What-
sure when I sell it, I'll probably get $10.
What are the special features on that?
Oh, there's everything from interviews with Art Carney to radio programs that were never turned into shows
Nice.
to cigarette ads. You know, they used to do.
Lucky Strikes.
I think it's Chesterfield Gold.
Chesterfield.
But yeah, there's plenty of extras, and there's just so much. Anyway, it's pretty funny.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
I'm envious. That'd be a nice one to have.
you have Audrey Meadows envy.
I was just trying to.
Because I'm laying at home every night with young Audrey
done,
Audrey Meadows
something
images.
And from Audrey Meadows, I'm going to move on to. Well, let's just do this. We got a number of things here, but let's just make some announcements as far as like what's new to Blu-ray. Manhunter, the Michael Mann film from 1986 with William Peterson, has come out on Blu-ray. It's basically a straight-up transfer, and of course, those in on this know that it was remade as Red Dragon.
Yes.
But it's still got that Miami Vice feel to it. It looks pretty good. I watched it the other night.
Good.
It does. The cinema to John, it looks great.
Oh,
except for the
old.
fact that there's.
It looks old.
Yeah, well, you know,
it's got that. It's so 80s. It's so trapped in the 80s.
Well, that's what it has. It has that 80s
you know?
thing.
It's got that synthesizer soundtrack. You know, do 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 do. That's Beverly Hills Cop, I think. But it's the same kind of
yeah.
synthesizer soundtrack.
But it is funny watching the young Stephen Lang in his 80s skinny tie and jacket as the unscrupulous journalist.
Oh my God!
Who buys it
I
in
was
a
so
wheelchair.
happy when what happens to him happens to him.
Yeah,
and
it's so different from Avatar and what's that new show he's doing? The one with the Terra Nova.
That's him in Terra Nova, the old guy.
Yeah.
Huh. That's weird. And it's got the fantastic Dennis Farina.
Yeah.
As,
doing a terrific Chicago accent, but he's not doing it. It's real.
Yeah.
So Manhunter's out. Actually, what was I going to say? RoboCop 2.
Yes.
Actually, on the same day as RoboCop 2, I believe. Which, man, this movie to me was when I first started working on films, I was reading some scripts to some films, and it was at the time this was like the late 80s. Yeah, it was the late 80s. Late 80s. I got an early script for RoboCop 2, and I just thought it was gold. Like I was on the inside. But all it did was end up spoiling the movie for me.
Yeah.
You know? So
and now that you sit back and watch
surprise.
it 30 years later.
Well, I thought it was really, to get a script that's based on even based on a story by Frank Miller. And, 30 years later, those special effects from Phil Tippett. Is that 30 years? No, 20 years.
Mid-80s.
1990. No, this is 1990. RoboCop
Okay.
2, so that's 22 years, 21 years.
Still. Yep. 1990.
Has some great effects, but boy, the Phil Tippett stop motion effects just stick out like a sore. I mean, this is like, I guess a year or two before The Abyss. It's before digital technology kicked in a couple of years later. Oh man, the combination of the really great photography and production value, and then you cut to or have inserted into the versions of Ed 209 and God,
I love
not looking good.
Peter Weller's performance in this because he just looks like he's got the biggest smirk in the world going on. He doesn't, but he just looks like he's having a blast being, RoboCop.
Yeah,
but not enough Nancy Allen.
No, I love Nancy Allen.
Yes, we know.
But she's not looking at her best here. She's
no. They commented on her hair. It's like, oh, you got a new haircut.
It's the short haircut, and the police jumpsuit doesn't really show off all that Nancy Allen's about.
But Tom Noonan?
I think so.
Tom Noonan is the bad guy, Kane, the drug dealer, and he's the Tooth Fairy in Manhunter.
Yeah, I
See?
made that. Yeah, he's got the very messed up screwball. No, not screwball. Screwed up look.
Yeah, yeah. He's got bad guy written all over him. He's okay in this, Yeah. I got a kick out of it. Shit blows up. And who directed it, Steve?
Irving Kershner.
And what else did he direct, Steve?
Empire Strikes Back.
And
This is a film for Irving Kershner, Empire Strikes Back fans that has to be seen. You have to see this because it is actually a well-made movie.
Yeah.
I like it when they break into the sporting goods shop to stop the Little League team that's robbing the place. Anyway.
It's got, and it's got the same, Paul Verhoeven did the first one.
Yeah.
And it's got the same kind of mini commercials like, Sunblock 5000 so you can go out in the sun and all this. And it takes place in Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta love a movie that makes
Which,
Detroit look good.
by the way, this relates to a movie we just saw, Real Steel, which also takes place in Detroit.
Yeah, that's what it is, Detroit.
In Detroit, which offers a very optimistic view of Detroit in Real Steel, as opposed to the one that you see in RoboCop and RoboCop 2. But Real Steel is like, wow, that's the Detroit that everybody's hoping for in a few years. I hope. Hey, talking about Nancy Allen, she's also in Dress to Kill, which is on Blu-ray, Brian De Palma's 1980 film, which is the real Nancy Allen.
You mean naked?
The
naked
Nancy Allen. The fishnets Nancy Allen, the one that wants to make it with Michael Caine Nancy Allen, and it is. A lot of people rag on this film and her performance, but I'm sticking with the fact that it's good. It's an underrated Brian De Palma film.
Can we stick with the naked and fishnets topic?
Yeah, sure.
Elvira, Haunted Hills.
Nice. Haunted Hills.
As you can imagine, anyone who knows me, I'm an unabashed Elvira fan.
Excuse me, I'm drinking.
It's cheesy, it's burlesque, but it's funny. It makes me laugh. It's not scary. She's a young burlesque performer heading to Paris, gets sidetracked by a mad lord who's trying to revive his dead wife. It's got Richard O'Brien from Rocky Horror in it.
Huh. Is this in the 80s?
Yeah. This is 1851, actually. No, that's the year the movie takes place. I don't know. Yeah, it's got to be 80s.
Okay.
I actually had lunch with Cassandra Peterson once.
And she is
Elvira.
Oh shit!
When she takes off that makeup, Cassandra Peterson, and we had a blast. She is a fun lady, and so maybe it's between that and the fact that there's.
Is she still doing it, or is there another Elvira?
Oh, she's still doing it. She's still got those movie macabre things that are coming out now, where she does like kind of like a mystery science theater thing, where she comments through the movies. So yeah, it's an acquired taste. It's not great filmmaking, but I like it, so I'm recommending it.
Cool. Man, I got another movie from the MGM limited edition collection. This one's from 1961, Heroes Island. Takes place in the early 1700s. It's about this family that inherits this land. They've been working for a fella for God knows how many years, and after he passes away, he allows them to take up residence on this small island off the coast of Georgia. But it turns out that the homies aren't down with that. The indigenous crowd there is very against these people showing them a piece of paper and saying that you own the place.
Right.
But add to the mix James Mason, who washes ashore and is basically becomes part of their family, because in order the guys who already live there say you can't own this property unless you have a real family. So it's this guy who's been shipwrecked that. A ne'er-do-well who has to get in with this family who's like this, they're very straight, like strict religious kind of thing. It's kind of eerie that way, that
right.
They're so strict religiously. It was kind of weird. But what I digged about it was that among the islanders in this is a very young Harry Dean Stanton.
Huh. He was never young, was he?
This is from 61, 62. And
He's
you think he's in his 80s now?
No, I mean back then he was 80. He's ancient.
I think he's in his 80s now. Back then, I don't know. Must have been.
And it has Rip
late
Torn
20s,
in it.
Rip Torn, yep.
The fabulous Rip Torn.
Looks great. Not a bad. It's kind of an obscure film. I really wasn't aware of it, but Sarah and I got a kick out of it last night.
That's a great thing about this MGM
Heroes
series is that you can.
They bring stuff out to you that you just never even considered. I like in watching this movie and researching a few things about it online. This is the movie that during this film, James Mason divorced his wife, and basically his life just kind of fell apart after this movie. He had to end up paying these like huge alimony payments and stuff to his wife, so he had to take all these really bad roles just to make money. And this was the movie that was supposed to be big for him, but it failed, unfortunately. But there is some gold to be mined from it. Heroes Island.
I can
MGM
see on your
limited
stack over
edition
there,
collection.
Poltergeist 2.
Yeah.
Which
I
I
wanted to talk
watched
about
this
this
morning.
last week. You did?
Yep. I got up early, 7 o'clock. That's movie time at John's house.
Didn't we talk about this last week? Or were we recording when we talked about it?
I don't think so.
Because I was a little freaked out.
By the movie?
By some of the stories that I heard, like
That's
the
right.
little
We're talking
girl.
Little girl stories.
Yeah.
And
well,
then so I actually sat down and watched it. And you remember the first Poltergeist? You remember that there's that great scene where the guy's looking in the mirror and he starts picking at his face and he starts pulling his face off, literally pulling his face off, and how horrifying that was. You know what happens to the boy in this movie? He gets attacked by his braces.
Oh,
What
right.
the
I
heck?
remember that.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I saw this in the
and
theater.
there's
That
like
was pretty
300
frightening.
miles of braces that come out of his mouth. He's wrapped up in the ceiling on braces.
Yeah.
Craig T. Nelson.
Doesn't Craig T. Nelson
my
come in
God,
and find him all tied to the ceiling in his
and then
braces?
the braces are attacking him, and it's like, oh my
Right.
God, it was just corny. It was just corny.
That looks like a lot of
Awful.
That's a dental nightmare.
I guess. Awful special
nightmare.
effects in this thing.
The thing that freaked me out was that I was hadn't watched Poltergeist 2 yet, but I
Right.
was reading up on it. I was thinking, you know, I do this other podcast radio, Diabolique radio show, and we're thinking of doing Poltergeist. So I'm reading online about Poltergeist and Heather O'Rourke, and that her grave is on. She died at 12 from an unfortunate bowel obstruction, and she's buried in the same cemetery as her co-star in the original Poltergeist. Oh God, I forget her name. Dominique Dunn. And so their graves, or Heather O'Rourke's at least, is on the Haunted Hollywood tour.
Huh.
And I had read online that apparently it isn't the Poltergeist that. Let me put it this way. She filmed like 5 or 6 episodes of Happy Days in the early 80s. Late 70s, early 80s, something like that. And apparently that was the happiest time of her life. And so some believe that she haunts Stage 16 at Paramount Studios where they filmed Happy Days. I just thought that was freaky.
It is freaky.
I'm laughing because I'm a little freaked out. Moving on. Yeah.
It's a pretty bad
Mimic.
bad movie.
Mimic. Oh, do you have anything else to say about Poltergeist 2's horrificness or general badness?
No, it just kind of sucks.
Okay.
I mean, the effects are bad. The story's bad. I kept watching it with the timer, wondering when it would end. So I have nothing more to say.
Gotcha. What you got?
Buck.
Loved it.
Buck. I just stop what you're doing right now. Go get it. It's a great documentary about that movie. You know, The Horse Whisperers with Robert Redford. This is the real Horse Whisperer, and it's a great
like a way
story.
To live your life.
It's great life lessons. It's well made. You know, I almost don't want to tell too much about it because it's got to be seen.
You're right. It would de-emphasize the power of the points made towards the end of the film. I think.
All right, so we'll skip that and move on.
Talking about docus, you had mentioned a couple of weeks ago the Vidal Sassoon movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sarah and I watched it last night. Digged it. I want to say right off the bat that it's a bit self-indulgent on the Vidal Sassoon end. In other words, like, love me, love me, love me.
Yeah.
But it's neat.
If you don't look good,
I like the style.
We don't look good. I remember that
well,
commercial.
he also has a life, theory. You know that he's very clean and straightforward, in the sense that like his plan was to like be really great at what he does, which is hairdressing. But it's not just all about him, although the movie is. It's about him being an engine that motivates other people to do. Like he's so over the top that it just got other people to do the kind of work that he's doing, and to spread the love of the architecture of the hair.
Yep.
The 5 point, to just making people or women. This is really about women. I mean, it's about cutting hair, but I don't think there's anywhere in the film that you actually see a man getting his hair cut.
No,
it's all about these. These are all guys from the late 50s in London who also open up a salon in New York in
straight
the 60s,
guys too.
and they're all straight.
I was amazed.
So they're just swimming in it.
Before this documentary, I would have assumed that Vidal Sassoon was not straight.
Right. These guys were living the shampoo life.
And I love the scenes where they show the press event for Rosemary's Baby.
Right,
Mia Farrow. Where he cut Mary Farrow's hair in a boxing ring.
He is like a performance hairstylist.
And
but he was like so good at it. Especially in like for me, the most dramatic moment was when this actress comes in and she's got 4 feet of hair. And you have this issue as to whether do you cut the hair the way the woman wants it, or do you let Vidal Sassoon do it the way he knows is best for for that woman's bone structure, for the way that woman's hair grows. And they just, part of the Vidal Sassoon style is you get to know your client, and you create a dialogue wherein you're allowed to make these decisions. I mean, how long is it going to take somebody to grow that that hair back? But then he cuts their hair, and you see what he basically shows you how it's done, how the hair is supposed to be formed around the head, and there's like architecture, and everybody has their own personal style, and you bring it out. So it's
fun.
It's fun that way. It's intriguing that way. John, what you got? Vidal Sassoon, the movie, directed by Craig Tepper. Oh, and a great featurette on the movie's music, with some of the band members from Arcade Fire that done some
I
stuff.
didn't see that.
You never went to that show?
I'm not a big extras fan.
Yeah.
I get after 2 hours of the movie, I'm kind of finished with it.
Holy shit, John! There's an interview in this movie where it must have taken place in Los Angeles, because as they're interviewing Vidal Sassoon's coworker, an earthquake happens. And the guy's sitting there, we're having an earthquake. Is everyone okay?
Is that in the extras?
It's in the extras. You can see the interview earthquake. Check it out.
All right. Did you see The Trip?
No. I'm familiar with it.
Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon.
Oh, wait a second. I thought you were talking about. I did see The Trip. We saw it at a press screening.
Right.
But I thought you were talking about Magic Trip.
No.
What was it? The Magic Bus? Magic Trip?
I don't know. Magic Trip about Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
This
yes,
is
I love The Trip.
Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon taking a road trip to test some restaurants and do Michael Caine impersonations at each other for hours.
And Connery.
I think it's a very select group that will love this, but they will love it. And I think it's really funny. I think, and not only is it funny, but I think Coogan gives a great performance because he doesn't like being on the road with this guy. He gets pretty tired of it after a while. And it's fun for me. Michael Winterbottom makes good movies.
Yeah, it's a good one. You'll really enjoy it. I highly recommend it too. The Trip. That's IFC.
Yes.
Cool.
And now that's it for me. What do you got?
Well, I mentioned this last week, and I hadn't seen all of it at that time. Watched a whole bunch more of it. Ken Burns' Prohibition, film by Ken Burns and Lynn Novick, which is currently showing on PBS. Or I think they showed it this past week.
Yeah, I saw the first 2 hours last night, but I taped them. So
he's just so good. You just get so wrapped up in the story and the characters that
he has such a great knack for picking voice talent to be the voices. And sometimes you recognize him. You're like, oh, I know that voice. That's Tom Hanks.
Yeah. That's Paul Giamatti. That's John Lithgow. Hey,
but it doesn't
there's
matter.
A little spark there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's almost not a performance as much as a trusted voice. When you hear John Lithgow narrating, you're like, oh, I'll listen to this. It's John Lithgow.
Yeah, it's really well written.
Yeah.
So you had said that the first episode or the first couple of hours were kind of boring, and then I can see that.
Background.
But I found it very, you had to establish why it got to this point where we were leading towards, the 18th Amendment, and what the good that was trying to be done, and the forces that were making this happen.
That they made it, the way it explains why they made it an amendment to the Constitution and not just a law. Is pretty interesting. There's a lot of minutia in it, but again, it wasn't. Let's face it. When you see a thing called Prohibition, you want to see the gangsters, and the mob.
Yeah, it doesn't get into that
until
the second disc.
Yeah, so I'm sure it'll get better. It's good, but I'm sure it'll get better.
The story of this. This is one story. I don't know if you saw it, but it because it's on the second disc. But the story of the guy who was a lawyer. Pretty high-powered lawyer who was basically the biggest bootlegger in the United States after this went down. It's just that, Prohibition turned law-abiding people into criminals.
Mm-hmm. Overnight.
And this was one of the guys who really made out on it. And he had this compound in Ohio called Death Valley, where he'd hide all his liquor and do all his, I guess everything, all the numbers were kept really. See, anyway, he was making money hand over fist. But there's this story about how his wife betrayed him after he was put in prison. It's kind of a saying. It's the things people did, and the things people did with the money they made from this. The money they made from this illegal booze. It's just fascinating. And how the companies survived by, I was intrigued how Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, these major company, survived by making a product that helped people make beer at home, because it wasn't illegal to make your own beer at home. It was just illegal to sell it. But the documentary also points to the fact that there was a lot of anti-German sentiment.
Yeah,
and in these companies that were founded by immigrants, and a lot of them were German.
And it was World War I.
Yeah, so World War I and whatnot that helped sort of steamroll things into prohibition.
I liked even before they outlawed it, when I think it was Anheuser-Busch, whoever the guy was, had his children's playhouse was 3 stories.
Yeah, that
high.
was insane.
Tiffany,
that's the same guy. No. That's not was that Anheuser-Busch? No, I think that was the guy who was the bootlegger.
I don't know, because Tiffany designed the stained glass for his barn. It's like the guy's shitting money.
Insane.
Because they're selling 900 million barrels of beer a year.
Yeah, even still, and but this was I think. A personal income tax was introduced in 1913.
Well, they said that at one point 3/4 of the government's money came from taxing alcohol, and they knew if they had prohibition, they'd lose that money. That's when they put in the income tax.
It's really tied into a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What's intriguing is also the fact that people thought that they could solve the ills of men and what it was doing to their families by removing this.
Right.
And I thought while watching this, man, oh God, it's a good thing I don't have this predilection or whatever it is that leads people to drink, because it just changes the person.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought that if you could take it away, it would stop it, but it doesn't stop it. People just find different ways to keep on getting it. And from your perspective, someone who's been sober for 16 years,
yep.
how did you feel?
No, I can understand they weren't thinking it through, because if you just take away my booze, I'll think of something else. I was in I've known guys who have drunk antifreeze, because there's alcohol in it, or cough syrup, or anything to get it's that relief they want. One of my counselors at the time said it was about flipping that switch. Whether it's 1 drink or 10 drinks, I had to flip that switch that made me feel better. And sometimes that was drinking in the morning. Sometimes it was drinking everything in the house. Sometimes it was just drinking. I don't know. It's unnerving to watch the way it was. It was all because of the product. It wasn't about the people. If you take away the booze, again, they have this magic cure. Just because I stopped drinking, I had to. That's when the work began, when I actually put the bottle down. So I don't think there was enough thought about that. I don't think there was enough known about that at the time. So
yeah, it's about, and the movie is also about what people are doing to sell it, selling it, in so many.
It's healthy. It's good for you. It's a health drink. Yeah. Kids like
those
it. Kids
ads,
love beer.
Those early ads were pretty amusing.
And just the fact that at the time, they say John Adams had a mug of cider in the morning, hard cider, and it was because.
Well, the alcohol content wasn't as high as it is right now.
No, and the water was probably poisonous. So you wanted, something. You're not going to drink water. I wouldn't drink the Quincy water now. So.
But you drink the Brookline water.
Oh, yeah. Well, Brookline's safe. We know that. No, it's a good series. I can't wait for the next 4 hours, whatever's left.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen the last 2 hours. I have to tell everybody that. Got to be kidding. But I've seen the first 4.
Okay.
Pulp Fiction. Somebody had written an article online. I can't remember the journalist's name, but they said that the best movies from the 90s have finally been released on Blu-ray. And among those were Almost Famous, which I think actually came out in 2000, so they might be wrong. Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction. Out on Blu-ray this week. Watched Pulp Fiction. Was totally freaking engrossed in it. I mean, there's so many extras on this movie that it's like Pulp Fiction insanity.
Yeah.
But I digged it all. It's all about the Tarantino aesthetic and how a great film had this very auspicious beginning and just sort of comes together. Like Reservoir Dogs wasn't this like incredibly huge production.
Right.
You know, but Pulp Fiction is like the diamond in the Tarantino filmography.
It's just the coolest fucking movie.
Yeah, it's
and
built on coolness.
It still is.
It was like I think of it as a movie that really was one of the. I'd like to say one of the. It really took advantage of its postmodern like statement about mashing all this stuff from the 70s, 60s, 70s. And appreciating it in a really cool way, and that's what like Tarantino does. He used like pieces of his knowledge and his influences just all come together into this film, and into his other films, of course. I mean, because that's kind of he's a postmodern filmmaker, so that's what he does.
It's great stuff.
He does it with.
It's 154 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
No.
And Jackie Brown too. Jackie Brown has a terrific half-hour Tarantino interview on it where he talks about. Just his philosophy, but his filmmaking philosophy and what he wanted to do with Jackie Brown and what he was hoping it would do with, the actors that he cast in the film, particularly Pam Grier and Robert Forster. You know, people would often ask Tarantino, like, where do you find these people? And he's like, I don't find them; they're there.
Yeah,
you just have to put them in movies. It's constant. Like this talent is there. It's in music, it's in movies, it's in books. There are great writers, performers, and actors out there, but they're not always on everyone's list.
Right.
Like Hollywood, they pass around lists, and if you're on the list, you get the job, and it gets actors repeated jobs doing the same kind of roles. You have to play off the list sometimes because this talent is there.
Yeah.
There's actually, and Robert Forster, man, this could have I think he did get an Academy Award nomination from it, didn't he?
Bridget Fonda. Remember she used to be
hot? Is that all you can think of?
From this movie? From Jackie Brown? Yeah.
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 What about
that's all she does.
Chris Tucker, the Chris Tucker scene.
Any movie where Chris Tucker dies is good for me.
Okay.
Shut up. Just shut up.
I could talk a whole lot about Pulp Fiction. There's a lot of great stuff on the DVD, and I like on the CD, on the Blu-ray, the DVD, the CD, the Blu-ray. No, just the Blu-ray. They actually, both Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction include the Siskel and Ebert reviews from At the Movies. And they have some new. There's a new feature. Actually, let me talk about this for a sec. There's a new feature, a couple of new features on the Pulp Fiction disc. One of them is where they have a critics retrospective on the film, hosted by Elvis Mitchell. So they have him and three other film critics. I believe one of them is Scott Foundas from Film Comment, I believe. Just talking about the film's place contextually in history. It's I think Blu-rays, I think extra features should do this more often, which is be brave enough to allow the critics to have their voice on the discs. I mean, it's great when like Ebert does a commentary track, like he did for Citizen Kane or Dark City. But when you have a 20 minutes or so of a show of a piece where the critics sit around and talk about the film. Now, granted, they mostly say nice things about it. But it's the discs that the special features I really dig are the ones where they, the people selling the film are okay with the fact that, you're going to diss it. You don't try and blow it up beyond anything what it is. It's like, you allow people to diss the film. And so it's pretty cool that they added it. Plus they've got some new cast interviews and stuff on there. That's more the basic stuff. Yeah. The basic, interview featurettes kind of thing. But the Elvis Mitchell thing on the Pulp Fiction disc is a good feature.
Hopefully my copies are in the mail, Scott.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll bug them today.
What else you got?
That's it. I'm done.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I got a couple more things here. Terry, just a couple notes. Terry, the film by Azal Jacobs, which showed here in Boston at the Independent Film Festival of Boston. It was all right. I don't think you liked it as much as I did, but John C. Reilly, doing his John C. Reilly as a funny guy thing, which is really good. Also, Pirates of the Caribbean. We'll talk about this. But since I just saw it in 3D the other day, I'm kind of blown away. As much as it is a busy fucking movie. Oh my God. The 3D is cool. I mean, the mermaids attacking in 3D. I just love that mermaid scene. And on this disc, you get a whole featurette thing on how they made the mermaid scene and did the stunts. There's actually a couple of great featurettes on this disc. One of them about how they rebuilt the Black Pearl and turned it into Blackbeard's boat. And basically, like, you get this pirate ship, but on the inside of the pirate ship is this actual working boat. You can just they motored it all the way from the west coast of California to Hawaii. Oh. And then they just built the whole shell of Blackbeard's boat around it. So a couple of great features on the 3D Blu-ray disc, particularly the particularly the mermaids attack. Very cool.
Cool.
Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. I think we're good.
Yes. Yes, we are.
So, hey, check us out online. We're at post-movie.net. All of our episodes are up there, and we're also on Facebook. If you can like us there, that'd be cool. And we're on iTunes. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review. We really appreciate it. And if you're in the mood, we do have a subscribe button.
Cool. Which would be, we have home delivery.
Yeah, it's there. Hint, hint. And if you have anything to say about what we've said about these films, please send us an email. We'd like to know what you think about these movies. And we'd like to know what you think about what we thought about these movies. So send us an email at contact@post-movie.net. You were going to say something?
Nope.
You were going to say something about we'd like to know what...
I was working my way
I saw that look on your face.
Yeah. See, but I stopped. I used to never stop when I had something to say, but I'm getting old.
Abortive.
Yes, abortive.
You aborted the joke, John.
I did. I'll pay for it later. I usually get like a cramp when I don't tell a joke.
Until next week, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everybody.